You're listening to Improv Radiov, sucker!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Improv Radiov. I am your humble host, Rhysdavies, and with me today is the other host, who some of you may recognise, Ben Bywater.
Yeah, hello. New host. Well, I've guest hosted before, haven't I?
You've guest hosted, but you've been promoted. No,
I've been promoted.
No money has changed hands.
I want to make that abundantly clear right from the off. I've been promoted in literally name alone. There's no If anything, I'm now doing more work for less pay. Well, not less, none.
Ben has volunteered because he was just so excited by the amount of listeners that Improv Radio receives. He knew he couldn't miss this opportunity.
Well, what I thought was I can possibly convince some of my family to listen, which would more than double the listenership. So, no, good. Right. Wonderful. No, to be fair, genuinely very nice to be here. So,
glad to hear it, Ben.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Ben isn't the only one here because we also have a special guest. His name is R.J. Williamsburg, and he comes from all the way over in America.
Hello there. And how are you, Rhys?
I'm pretty good, R.J. R.J. You sound a lot like Elvis. What does the R.J. in your name stand for?
Well, Rhys...
it's Rhys?
No, it's
okay,
not Rhys.
Rhys. What's the J stand for?
The J stands for J.
Rhys J. Williamsburg.
That's correct. Rhys J. Williamsburg the Third.
The Third. Wow. Okay. It sounds like you come from quite a successful background.
There's been a great many of us, and for a long time, us Williamsburgs have been the proud, the amazingly proud owners, original settlers, owners, mayors of Butte, Montana.
Butte, Montana?
No, Buteson, Montana.
Butten?
Okay.
All right. Well, I just want to tell you guys about something.
Not Butte. I want to make that very apparent. Not Butte. Butte. I have no connection to Butte.
Is there some sort of rivalry?
I do not believe there is a rivalry because we, the Williamsburgs, run Butten, and that is an amazing place full of glorious things, such as our amazing statue made entirely out of crisp packets. As you Brits would call them. And we also have our ice skating rink and just a whole host of amazing stuff. And what does Butte have? Nothing. That's what Butte has. Absolutely nothing.
Okay. All right. Well, you seem very proud of your area.
And why would I not be?
Good question. RJ, Ben, I just want to tell you about something that I read today. It's a news article. And the headline goes something like this. Unicorn was donkey with sex toy on head. So,
wow, that's... first episode as a presenter, and what an intro.
So, what's happened was this mother from the UK, she spent £700 to hire a unicorn from a seller on Facebook. So the guy rocks up with his donkey and he's got a dildo strapped to its head.
Okay, can I ask, Rhys? Did the mum... she must have known it was fake. She must have known it's not a unicorn, right?
Yeah, she says she was expecting like a horse or something with some sort of elephant tusk or something nailed to its head.
Like a fake tusk. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I can understand having...
The donkey part makes sense. I can accept that. Kind of.
I want to say... Yeah, no, I want to say I think donkeys are lovely. And...
Just for the record.
No, but I want to say they are. Like, donkeys are very nice. And I don't think that's the problem, is it, to be fair? had it been a donkey with a fake unicorn horn on it, would that have been an issue?
No.
I suppose it's not as glamorous.
Less
is it?
believable, but more believable than what did happen. So it was a 3-year-old's birthday party.
Oh, I'm laughing, but that's actually really sad. It's one of...
So this, it's a single mother as well, so she was like the only adult there, I think, and she had to herd all these 23-year-old kids. Oh, maybe the kids'
They must have been her
parents.
friends. Yeah.
Okay, but she had to herd all these children inside.
Yeah, no, sure. You know what I don't like, but what's weird about this is the seller, the Facebook seller, has, like, why turn up at all? I mean, if you've, like, it's a scam, isn't it? Effectively it's a scam. He's taken 700 quid off this poor woman to provide something that he hasn't provided. But why turn up at all? Why if
because he's got nothing to lose.
It's like, why is he? That's almost worse, isn't it? Like, if he'd not turned up, it's a horrible story about scammers. The fact he's turned up, he's just rubbing it in their face.
Well, maybe he really feels like he was doing a really good job. He'd come up with a perfect solution.
Do you think in his mind that's what unicorns look like?
Maybe he's never seen one before. They were only ever described to him. So the mother said, the next day I went to Trading Standards to complain, and the staff there seemed to think there was something amusing about a donkey with a dildo on its head.
Right. Okay. Instantly, like, there is.
Yeah.
So I don't care how annoyed this woman was. There's no way that she can have been surprised that it's funny.
I can't believe she can't see the humour in it.
Sad, yes, but also very funny.
RJ, what would happen if this occurred in your town, in Buton?
Yeah, to be honest, I believe that in Buton, the best place in the entire world, this would never happen. And I'm going to tell you why, Rhys. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
We have actually forbidden donkeys in the town of Buton.
Right. Okay. Why is that?
That is correct. Well, you see, Rhys, Buton has a long and proud history of donkeys being outlawed. And it all goes back to the original formation of Buton with my great-grandpappy, R.J. Williamson.
R.J. Williamsburg?
No. See, my great-grandpappy was called R.J. Williamson, and he married my great-mama, and she was the Williamsburg clan member. Now, interestingly, they were so powerful in the town that he took on her name.
Oh.
Rather than the other way around, as is traditional, I believe. Now, it all goes back to then. Now, imagine the year is 1879. Okay?
Okay.
Buton at that time was a smaller town than it is now. The population was around 7,000 or so, so it's quite a big town relatively, but it is smaller than it is now. And we had a sheriff at that time. Okay, we have a sheriff, and that sheriff was my great-great-uncle, Q.T. Williamsburg. Q.T. Williamsburg, that is correct.
Okay.
Now, he was the sheriff, okay? And him and his deputies, they were having a problem at that time with the outlaw. And now, the famous outlaw of Buton, Montana, which you might well know yourself, but that famous outlaw was actually my great-great-nephew.
What?
B.Q. Williamsburg.
So are you related to everybody in Buton?
That is not correct, no. I'm related, I believe, I have not tracked my family history, but I believe that when I get a bit far, and I'm so far I've only worked out that it's around 80 to 90%.
Okay.
In the 1960s, some people who were following the band The Grateful Dead got lost in Butin, and they stayed. So there's that. Right. So back to my story. So Q.T. Williamsburg, my great great uncle, was on the lookout for his son. So my great nephew B.Q. Williamsburg. Now B.Q. was at the time quite famous in Butin for his dastardly deeds. Now he would be doing all the things you don't want people to do. He would be robbing people at gunpoint.
Holding the door open when you're too far away, so you have to do that sort of little jog.
That's true. That was actually one of his. He invented that, or certainly he invented it in Butin. Before then, people could judge distance perfectly fine, and when he came along, it went out the window. I'm telling you, Rhys, it went out the window. People were jogging everywhere. Jogging became a craze because of this man. Okay? I do not know if you know how heinous that is. Okay? So BQ, the reason he got away with all this is because he would ride into town with his gang. Okay? And he was notorious. He was notorious for holding doors open, for robbing people at gunpoint, and he was also very famous, his gang, for eating hats. Okay, so it would be a Sunday, it would be a Monday, it did not matter what day it was, because people would be walking along in their straw hats, and then suddenly his gang would snatch them off their heads and start eating them.
Wow.
Okay? And his gang was made out entirely of donkeys.
Ah, okay.
And so as a result, Q.T. Williamsburg, my great-great-uncle, banned donkeys from the town. Now, BQ was a menace, but he wasn't going to break the law. So, at that time, robbing people at gunpoint was not yet illegal in Butin.
Oh.
So he said that's fine, and he gave his donkeys away. And from that moment on, Butin, Montana has not allowed donkeys in fear of the spirit of B.Q. Williamson starting up a new donkey-led gang.
That is a fantastic story. Essentially, you could write a book about that.
That's interesting, actually, because I have. It's called A Brief History of the Interesting Outlaw B.Q. Williamson and his capture by the famous Sheriff Q.T. Williamson in a small town called Butin, Montana.
Sorry, I'm just trying to write that down. Could you repeat it?
Yeah, of course I can. It's called The Story of the Famous Outlaw B.Q. Williamson and his capture by the famous Sheriff Q.T. Williamson in a small town called Butin, Montana.
Okay, I think I got it.
Between the years 1869 to 1878. Sorry, I said 19. I meant 1878 then.
Okay. That's very interesting. Maybe we'll talk more about your book a little later on. I was more interested by the fact that you're related to 80 to 90% of the population of Butin. And I wondered, how would dating work in your town?
How do you mean?
Well, how do you ensure that you're not going on a date with your cousin or something?
That's a very good question.
So in maybe it's Norway. It's one of the Nordic countries, I think. They have this app. So if you want to go up and talk to someone pretty in a bar, you sort of touch your phones together, and your phones will tell you if you're related, because the population is that small.
Rhys, I think it's Iceland.
Iceland.
Yeah. So the population's only 100,000. So, yeah, like genuinely a problem, isn't it?
It's a real concern. Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. RJ, I mean, is there like a similar thing in Butin? There is not. No.
So, how do you how do you ensure that nobody's making these kind of mistakes?
Well, see, first of all, it's interesting that you said make sure you're not marrying your cousin.
Yeah.
Now we don't.
How do you know?
We don't ensure that doesn't happen, I mean.
Oh. So you just sort of turn a blind eye to it?
Well, not at all. Well, yes. Yeah, that's exactly what we do. I mean, I would say, to be fair, the reason we don't marry, the reason we know not to marry like very close relations is that in Bhutan, it's generally done where you won't actually move out of the familial home until you were both married and 80 years old.
Oh, wow. But that means that still doesn't solve the problem. Does it? Or is it not a problem?
Well, what I'm saying, so if you live with your entire family until you were 80 years old, until you were allowed to move out to your partner, then you were gonna know that they aren't part of your immediate family because you haven't lived in the same house as them for the last 80 years.
Not your immediate family, okay. But do your cousins and your great uncles and everything live in the same house, or?
No, not at all.
So how can you ensure it? How can you ensure you're not making these mistakes?
Well,
you
we
can't,
do not.
Can you? No.
No.
So would you consider speaking with this company that developed this app for Norway, Ben? Norway?
Iceland, I
Iceland?
think. I don't. To be fair, Norway might have a similar thing, but I'm fairly certain the app you're talking about is Iceland.
No, you're probably right. I heard it a long time ago. So you could speak to the company and try to get something like that in place. I mean,
We could.
RJ, how do you know that your wife is not your cousin? Your wife, RJ.
My wife? Well, I know my wife is not my cousin because I know that she's my niece.
Okay. Okay. Ben, you've also been doing a little bit of research online, looking for some weird news articles. So
I have, yes. Let's move on.
yes, please.
Yeah, so the weird news article that I've recently read is that that recently Paris allegedly has installed completely open urinals near popular tourist spots.
I've heard about this because people are just peeing all over the place. There aren't enough toilets, or they don't care.
Yeah, basically that seems to be what's happened. Yeah, basically people are they're going to famous Parisian tourist spots and needing to go to the loo and just going, I suppose.
I mean, I've done this.
Have you?
Yeah, I've used these urinals.
Oh right, okay. I thought you meant you'd been to Paris and.
No, I've never been to Paris. In Amsterdam.
Right, okay.
Maybe it's just this one day, or maybe it's just busy days, or maybe it's every day. I don't know. I was there on King's Day, and that was the only place you could go to the toilet, and it was just full of people. So I used it, but I had to use it with my legs sort of spread as wide as they could, so that I didn't stand in this overflowing, disgusting puddle.
I mean, that's foul, frankly.
I mean, this.
I have.
Go on.
Well, I was just going to say, I've got a question though, because that's. To be fair, I can begin to understand the idea behind that, sure. But my question is this: now you can use a urinal because you have male anatomy. But surely say in Amsterdam on King's Day, where did all the women go to the loo?
That is an excellent question.
And
I don't know.
in Paris as well, has it solved the problem?
Like, Only what? It's quite funny actually because the men's toilets famously never have a line, whereas the women's do.
Well, yeah,
So
it seems like what they've done
you've
is
solved a non-problem.
yeah, they've sort of looked at where the issue isn't and thought we can solve that.
It was probably a man who made this decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad decision. Like, I can completely understand it.
Yeah.
I think like the article's kind of suggesting that it's a bad thing, and that you know people's pictures and stuff are going to be ruined by
right.
someone going for a slash, right?
Yeah.
But I don't think so. Like, I've never. You know, if I was taking a photo, I'd wait or move slightly so the urinal wasn't in the shot. Like, I don't think that's
They're probably not sticking it
necessarily an
right
issue.
in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Like, I don't think they've walked up to one of the legs of the Eiffel Tower, you know, and thought, let's fix it onto that. Like, you know, I'm sure it's sort of within reason. But yeah, it just seems. I mean, have they put in more public toilets? Do you think?
Probably not. It's probably to save money, I guess. They probably needed to do that. See, in Amsterdam, it makes sense because you have these canals everywhere, and people pee into the canals, especially if they're drunk and it's night time. And people do fall in and they do drain. So that's the reason they exist.
Well, I mean, presumably the same in Paris. Like, you've got the Seine.
Okay, yeah.
So maybe it happens there. Like, to be honest, like I say, like the idea of this makes sense. Like, surely it's better for them to be pissing in a urinal than it is on the street.
Yeah.
But it hasn't solved the problem.
Or maybe that wasn't the problem. Like these, lampposts, they're starting to fall over because dogs are peeing on them and it's corroding the whatever metal they use.
Okay.
So maybe Parisian people and tourists, they like to pee wherever they want. So they pee on these lampposts, they're falling over. They got to sort this problem out. So they could replace the metal, or they could put urinals everywhere.
Maybe. It's a weird one.
It's a stretch, isn't it?
It's a bit. I mean, I like what you've done there, though. I imagine that was like similar to their press release. They realised just before we haven't solved anything. Thought we're gonna have to go with this one now.
We need to get some Parisian women in.
We do. If you're listening and you know a Parisian woman or are a Parisian woman, please write to us.
There's no one listening, Ben.
It's all right. I'm not going to give my address out. So.
Okay. Have you ever been to Paris, Ben? Just to try to find a tangent there.
Me? No, I haven't. I've been to France quite a few times though. Growing up, I used to go on holiday there quite a lot to like Nice, Fréjus.
Okay.
Kind of area. Nice city.
And so you've encountered French people in the wild?
I have, yes.
So,
and I would say, well, one thing that struck me, I like come across a lot of French people. I noticed none of them were just pissing in the street.
So it's just the Parisians then?
It's presumably, not to tar everyone with the same brush, but it does seem to be in France only Paris has. But then Amsterdam, maybe it's just capital cities. Or like major cities.
It could easily be too many people, not enough toilets. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, how...
Hang on.
Do you want to pick that up?
Yeah. Hello? Hello, bonjour. I was listening to your insults to the Parisian people, and I just wanted to let you know, Rhys and Ben, that you can fuck off.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. It's Ben here. Who are we speaking to? Who are we speaking to?
My name is Emanuela Croissant.
Emmanuel Croissant.
Emanuela, Actually,
Emanuela, sorry, I do apologise. I'm sorry. Well, Emmanuel, thank you first of all for calling up.
It's quite all right.
Hopefully, to be honest, we weren't really trying to insult your country or Paris at all. I mean, what are your thoughts on the installation of these open urinals near popular tourist spots?
Well, as a 60-year-old woman, it is quite difficult for me to pee in Paris.
Okay, so do you live in Paris?
Yes, I live about 2 streets away from the Eiffel Tower.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, do you? Like you say, you sort of struggle quite a bit to use urinals. Not surprisingly, I mean, do you think that public toilets are an issue in Paris?
The problem is that many young women. When I was a girl, I loved gymnastics. Everybody loved gymnastics, but now it's not popular anymore. So the girls who want to use the urinal, they cannot. But I just lift up my leg, I put it on top of the urinal. It's not a problem.
Right. Okay. So, I mean,
you will notice that maybe 50 to 90-year-old women, they can do this. You go to Paris, you will see this.
Right. So would you say? So I mean, so for yourself, it's not really an issue. I mean, would you say that perhaps the younger generations of Paris or France need to sort of relearn gymnastics for this to be a worthwhile pursuit?
That is correct, Ben. You see, the problem is not so much that there are big queues for the restrooms. There are big queues, of course, like anywhere you go. But the problem is a lamppost actually fell on my neighbor's house because of the pee corroded the metal.
Oh, right. So it is a big concern then.
That is correct.
I see. I mean, that's okay. So you're sort of a proponent of the open urinals.
I am. There was quite a big article, news story. Went, I think, internationally. That somebody peed on the Eiffel Tower, or many people peed on the Eiffel Tower, and it is starting to bend. And one day, a man, he is walking his donkey through the Eiffel Tower square, and the Eiffel Tower, just for a moment, it bent over, hit the donkey on the head, and it luckily is a bit of elasticity in metal, so it just went back to normal. The donkey actually, the reason it is big news is because the donkey has like this big bump on his head. Now they're saying he's the donkey unicorn. It's just a bit of a funny story.
Oh wow! I hadn't actually come across that one, but I mean that's fascinating. That's
I'm surprised you have not heard about it. It was all over our news networks.
No, yeah, it's clearly one that was lost in translation a little bit. But I mean that's like fascinating stuff. Actually, that's incredibly interesting. Actually, I mean, thank you so much, Emanuela Croissant. I mean, really interesting insight there, and yeah, thank you very much for calling in.
That is okay, Ben and Rhys. I just want to say that I came into the phone call, I was very angry, but after speaking with you, I'm very happy, and I will be subscribing to this YouTube channel, and I would also urge everybody else to do the same thing.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Emanuela. So would I, actually. That's...
Au revoir. Yeah, me too.
Au revoir.
But, she was an interesting character.
That was, interesting. Very... Very interesting. Yeah.
So it looks like we've covered a news story ourselves. If it hasn't made it into the English-speaking world.
Yeah, in fact, that was
Get your news here
literally
first,
an
guys.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
fantastic.
Not a world, a UK-wide exclusive.
Yeah.
That a donkey has been bumped on the head by. And this is a major issue, actually.
What, donkeys being bumped on the head?
Well, no, this erosion of all metal in Paris. Like, when I first got this story, I kind of thought, like, a little bit odd, bit of a funny story, but actually, if, you know, this is like a major issue. Like, I'm not surprised, to be honest, that they've put the urinals in.
Yeah. Actually, I'm quite glad now. I didn't know what to make of it at first. What do you think, RG? You've been quite quiet.
Or I have been quite quiet. To be honest with you, Rhys, I do not believe in France.
What? Why?
That is correct. I do not believe that France exists.
Okay.
I believe that this is all a load of hooey.
So what about this woman, this Parisian woman who just called?
I believe that was probably an actor.
You don't believe that was a real Parisian woman?
I do not believe that was a real Parisian woman. That is correct.
Did you believe it was a woman?
Undeniably.
It didn't sound like a Welsh guy trying to do a French accent.
Undeniably.
That's what I'm asking. Oh, good.
Rhys, that was a woman.
Oh,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I do not believe that was a French woman.
Okay.
A Welsh woman, maybe.
What about Ben says he's been to France?
I believe that France is a European-led conspiracy.
So where do you believe Ben's been? They've lied about where he went? What?
Now, I do not believe that Ben is lying to us. I do not, sir.
Okay.
But what I believe is that I believe that the entirety of Europe has been duped into believing that France exists, when in fact I actually believe that France does not exist, and France is made up entirely of a bit of Spain, a large part of Monaco, and some of Switzerland, and a tiny little sliver of Italy.
Okay, so these landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, that you think they exist? They're just not. There's no such thing as France itself.
I believe they exist, but I believe that every single one of them was built in the 1980s by the EU to make a French history.
I'm not sure what to make about this, RJ, because I don't see what the point would be.
I mean, I've got to say I agree with Rhys. Also, I mean, French history is, widely documented.
What about Napoleon Bonaparte?
I do believe that he existed.
Okay.
But I believe that he was a Corsican, and that he wanted Corsican rule, not French rule. What
about the French language?
I do not believe that exists.
I learned it at school. I think Ben did as well.
I did, yeah. Admittedly, I wasn't very good at it, but
no, okay.
But it's one of the classical languages. It's a language that derived, I think I'm right in saying, from Gaelic and Latin.
They spoke it in the UK. The posh people used to speak it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, what I don't understand, RJ, is that, going back in history, past Napoleon, past all of that, there is literally empirical evidence that Gaul existed, which later went on to become France. There is so much evidence across not just French history, but global history that dictates that France, or a country which later go on to become France, has existed.
I mean, if we bringing France's existence into question, we can bring in the existence of anywhere except the exact spot where you're sitting, or even that, actually. How do you know that butane exists?
Well, the thing is, Rhys, I have been to Buton,
Yeah, Ben's been to France.
but I do not believe that this man who sat next to me has been to France. I believe this man is not smart enough to know if he has actually been to France. I believe he has probably been duped into going to, like I say, a cross between Switzerland, Spain, Italy, and a large portion of Monaco. Right.
Okay.
Little bit insulted, first of all. I mean, you know, sure, but I'm keeping it professional. I mean, it's interesting, RJ, that you think that a lot of France is made up of Monaco. Now, the people of Monaco speak French, but you don't think that the French language exists.
Wow. Let's see you talk your way out of that one.
That is correct. Well, I do not believe that the French language exists. I believe that the real French language is Monegasque.
Oh, so that's what we were learning at school.
That is correct.
Okay. But
Okay. To be honest, I think we've gone a little off topic.
yeah, I'm a bit flummoxed there.
You've looked at another news story, Rhys. So why don't we move on to that? And maybe once we stop recording, we'll talk to RJ and find an atlas or something.
Okay. So this man was being pursued by a baby squirrel, so he had to call the police for help.
Okay. As headlines go, it's that's an eye catcher, isn't it? But why? I mean, that's not.
So
those are two sentences which don't necessarily go together. Like, he had to call the police. I don't think that's true.
okay, maybe it should read, he believed he had to.
Like, a man, a baby, like, really, surely the headline is, a baby squirrel wandered after a man. Man calls police because he's an idiot.
Pretty much, I think. So this German man, I'll just read it word for word. A man in Germany may not have been in danger.
He might not have been. may not.
When he called the cops on a baby squirrel chasing him. And it also said that, in a surprising twist, the squirrel was the one who needed assistance.
Okay. I would argue that's not a surprising twist. I would go so far as to say a baby squirrel that's been abandoned is why you'd call emergency services, not because you felt in danger because of that baby squirrel.
So do you want to know why the squirrel was chasing him?
Yes, yeah.
So when a baby squirrel loses its mother, it immediately looks for a replacement. So they focus their efforts on one, I guess usually squirrel, but in this case person. So they believe the German man was the squirrel's mother.
Okay, sure. That's still... That explains why the squirrel was following the man. I'm not going to be using the word chase for the duration. Okay? Chase implies there's a danger. Right? A baby squirrel following you is not dangerous. I'm not going to be using the word chase. A squirrel was following this man. Following. Not chasing, following. Alright? That explains why the baby squirrel was following this man. Okay? That I get on board with. What I don't understand is why he... Now, I don't know what Germany has. I don't know if Germany has an equivalent of the RSPCA. But I assume they do.
Yes. Yes. So it's in an animal rescue centre now.
Right. Yeah, okay. So what I don't understand is why the man didn't call them to say, I think a baby squirrel has been abandoned. Why he called the police to say, I'm being chased by a baby squirrel.
Please arrest this squirrel.
Well, yeah, exactly. What did he expect would happen? I don't understand.
But-
Was he like, once the police get here, I might get to go into witness protection? So maybe I'll have to grow a mustache
I think
if this
he just
squirrel
had a
doesn't recognise me.
crap job and a crap life, and he just wanted a fresh start.
Maybe
He probably killed the mother.
Maybe the man should have, I don't know, moved into a tree and pretended to be a squirrel. Maybe the squirrel would have stopped chasing him. This story doesn't make any sense.
But a squirrel's not dangerous.
The squirrel.
That's a real question. I don't know. They usually run away from me, so probably not.
Right. I think, now I don't know, I think that squirrels occasionally can carry diseases.
Ah, okay.
Right? I think that is accurate, okay? I think if a squirrel bites you, you might possibly be able to, to catch, like, rabies, right?
Yeah, not in Germany, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. I don't think that's common. Well, it's not, is it? Like, you're not constantly hearing of squirrels biting people.
No.
Okay? Like, yeah, this... I mean, I kind of want to know about this man. Like, is he... I mean, has he never come across an animal?
No, surprisingly, it doesn't say.
It's sort of... I mean, the only thing that I like about this story is that at the end, the squirrel is now in a sanctuary and presumably is okay.
Yeah.
That is the only nice thing about this story.
There is a second part to this story, and that's...
If it's not man adopt squirrel, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed.
I'm trying to read the meaning from this. Police arrived at the scene where the squirrel ultimately ended the pursuit by laying down and going to sleep. So it sounds like
use of language. It's not a pursuit.
It sounds like the police actually went after him.
That to me kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Like having arrived, I can understand why the police were like, well, we're going to have to catch this squirrel.
Because this guy's going to feel like an idiot otherwise.
Yeah, well, presumably they were like, oh, this squirrel's clearly not okay. It's been abandoned. We need to rescue it, right?
Yeah.
It's the way they've written it makes it sound like the police and this squirrel got into some sort of standoff.
That's the way I'm reading it. The squirrel ended the pursuit. That means there was a pursuit.
Like, pursuit to me suggests, a car chase. Not...
It could have been, I guess.
Walking after a baby squirrel. Also, a pursuit... Surely you can't end a pursuit by falling asleep.
Well, I guess that's what would ultimately happen in a standoff. In a proper stalemate, that's the only way it ends. One of them falls asleep.
I guess so. This whole story is, I mean, amazing, but just, you know what I think? I think this story has been written by someone who didn't really want to be covering it.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I'm sorry to say this is on the Huffington Post.
Okay.
So that is the kind of article you would expect from them, I think.
Yeah, I'm not that surprised. It seems like it's been written by someone who might have been hired as the person who, like their crime writer.
Yeah, okay, but they ran out of crime for the day.
And yeah, like it's quite a slow news story day, and this person's seen this story about a squirrel and thought, let's roll with it.
Let's call it an early day.
Yeah, like, well, if I knock this one out, I can nip off to the pub before it shuts. Like that's seemingly what's happened. Yeah, I too have got another story.
Okay.
So this, in fact, this is actually also about crime. But this isn't an actual crime, just a silly one.
Okay.
thieves have stolen a truck filled with $98,000 worth of ramen noodles.
Okay. Are they, what do you call them? Doomsday preppers?
You know what? I don't think it says. Yeah, it doesn't say. It doesn't say. It just says. Effectively, just they've stolen it.
It's got to be so difficult to sell on black market ramen noodles when they're like 30p down the local Tesco. Who's gonna buy it from an alley man when they can just go to Tesco?
Okay, I'll read out the article. It's very short.
Okay.
Police in Georgia are looking for some crooks who made off with nearly $100,000 worth of ramen or ramen noodles. Okay. The thieves stole a 53-foot trailer packed with the noodles about 2 weeks ago.
It sounds like this isn't about the noodles at all. They stole a trailer. That's what they were after.
Well, maybe. I mean, presumably they assumed it was full of stuff that wasn't noodles.
Ah, yeah. Oh, it's like a lucky dip.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, better than that, right? The article that I'm getting this from, they've done the maths to see how many packs of ramen the thieves made off with.
Okay.
Okay, so they reckon there was $98,000 worth of noodles in the back. Okay. They write a 48 pack of ramen at Sam's Club costs about $9. Okay, that's a 48 pack. Okay, that means that 520,000 packs of noodles have been stolen.
That's crazy. 520,000.
520,000 packs have been stolen.
I'm getting the calculator up because I want to know how many you need to eat each day.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, if they've just stolen it for themselves, if they've only, they don't plan on selling it, they've stolen it for their own consumption, how many days, and it doesn't say how many thieves, but can you work out how many years, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it will be years, that you would need to be eating ramen noodles for every single meal, so breakfast, lunch and dinner.
Every meal. Okay.
Every meal.
Give me the total again, because I've done the maths and it looks wrong.
Okay, so 520,000 packs of ramen noodles have been stolen.
Okay. So for breakfast, lunch and dinner...
Yeah, so 3 times 365
I've got the
divided
answer.
by 20. So what is it?
I think, if I've done this correctly, you would be eating 3 packs of noodles a day for 475 years. Anybody listening you can check my maths on that because I'm not confident.
Yeah, definitely do. But I don't know. That seems about right to me. I haven't checked, and it might well be wrong, but that sounds about right. What did you say? 400 and...
Well, it's 474 point blah blah blah. So
right, so
475.
Yeah, 475 years.
Yes.
Or, okay, so they're either one person is eating 475 years eating these noodles, or maybe the gang that stole them, there's 475 members of the gang, and they all want to eat noodles every meal for a year. Ah,
it's like a challenge. Maybe it's like the new, like the cinnamon challenge, or maybe it's what the kids are into.
Ah, you know what we should do? We should get in contact with the police in Georgia and let them know that the way they can, because it says, and this is a direct quote, it says no arrests have been made so far.
Okay.
But I reckon if we get in contact with them, we can let them know that the easy way to work out, who's done this, is at some point in the near future, a video is going to come up on YouTube where someone's challenging you to eat 3 packs of noodles every day for an entire year, and they can provide them. And that's how they'll know.
I mean, how likely is that to happen?
If you're listening...
What, the thieves?
If you're listening, the thieves, if you're listening, make that happen.
If you're listening, we would like to interview you.
We very, very much so. Very much so. If you're listening and you're not a thief, do keep an eye out though on YouTube and let us know if someone does post something.
Or go straight to the Georgian authorities.
Do that first, but I mean also let us know.
Yeah, okay.
Like in order, let them know and then let us know, and we'll break the news.
Is this
because
go on.
As we've established, well, I was just going to say, as we've established, we do breaking news.
So it was in Georgia, right? Is that Georgia, America?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, the state, not the country.
Okay. Is that close to you, RJ?
That is a good question, Rhys. That is a very good question.
Yeah, so what's the answer?
I tend not to involve myself in any politics of any variety anywhere other than Butte, Montana.
Okay. I'm on Google Maps right now, and Georgia. Oh, fair play to you. It's like half the country away. I can see why you've never heard of it.
Oh, I'm not saying I've never heard of it. I'm saying I do not involve myself in any U.S. politics other than those happening precisely in Butte, Montana.
Ah, got you. Okay. Wait. RJ, how are you spelling Butte?
How am I spelling it?
Yeah.
B-U...
Yeah.
E...
Okay.
2 T's.
Yeah.
U...
Uh-huh.
2 N's. And an E.
Very weirdly and somewhat expected, Butte doesn't show up on Google Maps.
Well, I will tell you why that is. Okay. Now the reason for that, and I'm not sure if you know this.
Just to give you some more thinking time, I just want to mention that this spelling of Butte isn't a place in the entire world.
Right. Well, I'm telling you why that is. Now I do not know if you know this, but if you request Google, they will remove your town from a map.
That's not true, is it?
So, it is. If you write to them and you say, I do not want my, my town, my settlement to be on a map, they will not put it on.
So.
Okay. So that if you search for big bits of North Korea, for example, they will not come up.
Okay, I can buy that. But why was this decision made?
Another good question, and I will tell you for why. Now, I believe I mentioned that I am the current mayor of Butte, and I made that decision when Google first became big. And the reason I made that decision is because I do not want our enemies to know ways in to Butte. Okay? Now, I do not know if donkeys can use computers.
Okay.
And whether donkeys can access Google Maps, but that is not a risk that I am willing to take.
Okay. Well, go on.
I was just going to say that, to be fair, Rhys, that does answer your question.
Yeah, I guess I can't really argue with that. Okay. So, it's getting pretty late in the show. So, let's just wrap up. Let's go over some of the big points we spoke about today. What did we learn?
Yeah, so if we start, let's start with your news story. That's where we started, isn't it?
Yeah, so we learned that this woman thought she was hiring some sort of unicorn, actually got a donkey with a dick on its head.
Yeah, we learnt that donkeys with a dildo on their head, however angry you are about them, are funny.
Yes. We learned that there's an awful problem with urination and just reword that, shall I? There is a big problem with metal corroding in Paris because of urine.
Because of urination, yeah. We learned that Paris haven't really said they know about it, but they clearly do because they are solving the issue.
Yes.
We learned your story again. So.
The squirrel. Police will chase a squirrel and pursue a squirrel if you ask them to. In Germany.
We learned that German police would pursue a squirrel. We learned that the Huffington Post think every story ought to have some sort of crime element. Apparently. That's not necessarily true. That one story has to have a crime element. And finally, we learnt that if you want, we learnt that it is able to steal a truck's worth of noodles, which could feed one person if they ate it every meal for 475 years.
Okay, well,
I think as a programme, we probably ought to say we're not endorsing that.
No.
Like, don't do it, don't try. We're just saying some people have.
Yes. So I would like to say goodbye to you, RJ.
Well, thank you, Rhys. I would like to say goodbye to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me too. All right, see you later.
See you later. Bye.
It's just you now, Ben. Okay.
What? It's also goodbye from me.
I'm off. Bye.
Bye. It's. I want to say actually, so that's what we've learnt. Just in the last few minutes, just whilst we're wrapping up the programme, I just want to say a big thank you, really, to Rhys, to Improv Radiov, for letting me be their latest presenter. It's been a great pleasure, the first episode, and here's to many more. I hope you've enjoyed it too. Bye.
Improv.